had a lousy day in Washington. I'm Simon Marks, LBC 97.3's US correspondent. I'll have that story coming up.
We'll also be speaking to the minister about the scammers exploiting the hard times, the weather dry, sunny and warm in the capital today, and at the LBC 97.3 Travel Centre.
I'm Ed McCall. Our top Surrey Forest Gate Romford Road remains closed. The A118, that's between Sproston Road and Woodgrange Road because of fire in a building. I'll bring the full details in 15 minutes.
That's all to come on the morning news on LBC 97.3.
Morning News with Susan Bookbinder on LBC 97.3.
Good morning to you. Elderly care campaigners have described a decision by Sussex Police to attach GPS devices to dementia patients as completely wrong. The force have brought in 15 GPS tags, telling the Telegraph it will cut down on police time spent searching for those who go missing. National Pensioners Convention says the policy is barbaric. Dot Gibson is General Secretary of the organisation and joins me now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You're not impressed then?
Well, again, one of these things in dealing with social care, it's like putting a bucket underneath a leaking roof instead of mending the roof. And it stigmatises people. I mean, there should be proper care in place. Can you imagine a situation where Margaret Thatcher was sitting with one of these devices, but you see, she had care because she had money, and this is a huge problem, and it's something that we're dealing with all the time.
What do you have to say, though, to people who may argue, look, we're living in a time of austerity, there are cuts in social care, there are cuts in the police force. What can the police do?
Well, I mean, the police are, if you like, at the end of the chain here. I mean, the fact is that everybody's trying to put sticking plaster over a problem that comes down the line because there isn't proper care and there isn't a proper care system. We've got this situation that arises and then people deal with it along the line and try to overcome it. I mean, it's a question of saving money. Everything is attached to, the pound sign instead of a society which looks after its elderly, sick and elderly people in a proper manner as we expected and wanted when in 1945 all care and health care were legislated.
You've described the situation as barbaric. What are you going to do?
Yes, well, what do you mean, what are we going to do? We're a campaigning organisation and we raise those issues and make people aware of what is going on all the time, and we take things up with government and local authorities. So, yeah, we will continue to campaign on behalf of the rights of older people.
Dot Gibson, General Secretary of the National Pensioners Convention, thank you. Airport capacity in London is underused, with more than half of the runway slots free at some of the capital's airports. That's according to the London Assembly report, which points out that Heathrow, at 99% runway capacity, could fly 20 million more passengers each year if larger aircraft were used. Assembly member Caroline Pigeon is chair of the London Assembly's Transport Committee. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
20 million is an awful lot more passengers, and yet we seem to have spent the last couple of years at least talking about expanding Heathrow. So you're saying that's not necessary now?
Absolutely, Susan. There's so much capacity at our London airport already that if we keep staying in a smart way, then actually we can potentially increase in demand at our airport without having to spend money expanding them with additional runways. Well, if you look at it, places like Stansted and Luton, only 47 and 51% of their runway slots are available. And Heathrow, if you put in larger aircraft, you do have the capacity within its existing size and existing flight slots. You could fly potentially more passengers. So we're calling on the Airport Commission to consider how existing airport capacity could be used better as part of their report that will be coming out soon.
And you also suggest, in terms of, as you put it, getting smarter, better links between those airports.
Absolutely. If we want people to potentially move away from using Heathrow, which is very much at its top end of capacity, then we need to improve transport access from central London. And, for example, Stansted said to us they felt they could attract 1.5 million more passengers if the rail time from central London was reduced from 45 to 30 minutes. So Heathrow, and newer aircraft coming on are larger, that they're quieter, they're more environmentally friendly. So I think it's just one of the options to put in there. But all of this debate about aviation, we hear the airline industry constantly talking about we need this massive hub airport where people can connect from one flight to another, and Heathrow's the only place. But when you actually break down the figures, when you look at it, 78% of the flights from Heathrow fly directly point to point, so they're not having people, as they're suggesting, coming in, changing and flying all somewhere else. So I think actually some of the argument that the airline industry has been putting forward is actually false. We've really broken this down in some of the evidence that we've taken throughout our report and the research we've commissioned, which we hope will help the debate go forward.
Caroline Pigeon, Chair of the London Assembly's Transport Committee, thank you. It's 6:37. The trial of the man accused of murdering Welsh schoolgirl April Jones is entering its second day. Prosecutors say Mark Bridger killed the 5-year-old, but he doesn't remember how. The 47-year-old denies the charges against him. LBC 97.3's Andy Downton has been following the case for us from Vauxhall Court.
The jury will return to Old Crane Court this morning to be shown more evidence found on Mark Bridger's laptop. The numerous indecent images of children, the graphic terms he used in internet search engines. There are also found pictures of child murder victims Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, and even images of April Jones's 13 and 16-year-old half-sisters. Well, during the opening of the prosecution case yesterday, Elwyn Evans QC told the court how the 47-year-old had been seen putting April into his Land Rover and driving away. The court was then playing the 999 call which April's mother Coral tried to make moments after April's disappearance, but becoming too overcome with emotion. Bridger himself wiping away a tear as the mum can be heard shouting, "My daughter has been kidnapped." We also heard how April's blood has been found in Bridger's cottage some 3 miles away from Machynlleth, with fragments of bone also being found in the ashes of a fire, although there wasn't enough to confirm a match to April's DNA. The jury told to consider all of the evidence they will hear over the next 6 to 7 weeks, leaving out emotion and to look at the facts. Mark Bridger does accept that he is probably responsible for April Jones's death, but denies the charges of abduction, murder and perverting the course of justice. The trial will resume at 10 o'clock this morning.
Let's have a look now at this morning's front pages, and a lot of them are leading on the April Jones court case. The Mail reports that images of murdered Soham girls Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman were downloaded by Mark Bridger, who's accused of that killing. The Sun also pictures Holly and Jessica. Jurors were told blood and bone fragments were found in the house where Mr. Bridger lived, says the Mirror of prosecutors' claims. The Star also leads with that story. Mr. Bridger denies murdering the 5-year-old. The Times reports on Britain's decision to stop paying millions of pounds a year in aid to Africa. A different take on aid in The Guardian, which claims the Ministry of Defence is trying to draw on cash from the aid budget. The Eye says dozens of operations in the civil service are to be transferred to the private sector. The great civil service sell-off is the Independent's headline. The paper says it would be one of the largest privatisation programmes since the 1980s. And the UKIP leader Nigel Farage is pictured. He's been criticised by a former leading UKIP MEP. Well, of course, let's stay with matters politics. It is, of course, the last day of campaigning ahead of tomorrow's elections, and voting will take place in 34 local authorities across England and in Wales. Nick Ferrari will be bringing you a special programme on the Thames this morning, where he'll be joined by several potential voters looking for answers from all parties. I'm joined now by LBC 97.3's political editor Tom Shield. Good morning.
Good morning.
So let's start with UKIP, shall we? They are predicting they're going to perform, and I quote, better than anybody can yet quite believe.
Yeah, typically on the eve of an election we hear lots of expectation management in the jargon, parties playing down their chances, and that's not the tone that UKIP are adopting. They're sounding pretty confident. They're fielding over 1,700 candidates in these elections, and that's only just behind the Lib Dems. Some polls show they've polled as much as 17%. That is significantly ahead of Nick Clegg's party, which has struggled to remain in double figures. But the challenge here for UKIP is not just how they're doing in these surveys. Can they translate those into actual votes and seats? The first past the post system, which is used for these elections, means it's probably unlikely that they're going to start taking over all councils, but it could leave a number in no overall control, so effectively with UKIP perhaps even in coalition with the Conservatives. That will be interesting, won't it? But I think really this is a vital stepping stone for UKIP, or certainly they see it as such, ahead of next year's European elections, which is a real target for them. But of course, if they do very well, the real fear amongst Conservatives is the way that they'll continue to bleed votes and support to UKIP in large numbers.
But of course, everybody has the common enemy of voter apathy at the moment. Nobody's very keen on politicians of any kind.
No, and that's the very thing that UKIP are trying to capitalise on, really tapping into disquiet with the coalition, uncertainty about what the real offer is from Labour. Of course, it is the local elections. Some people will vote purely on those local issues, but often it becomes something of a protest at the government in power at the time, and therefore is interpreted as a reflection really on national politics. And so away from the precise detail of how many council seats are lost by the Conservatives or won by Labour, the key outcome really from these elections will be how the result is interpreted by MPs in Westminster and others to tell us about the state of the main parties 2 years out from a general election.
John Cheel, our political editor, thank you. It's 6:43. Let's get the money news for you now. We have Danny Cox from Hargreaves Lansdown with us. Morning to you, Danny.
Morning to you.
You did predict we might have some good news on our hands with the results from Whitbread, but no one expected it to be quite this good.
Yeah, the results were very good. Costa Coffee and Premier Inn, two of the brands within Whitbread continue to expand at pace, and those expansion plans are expanding. They're going to add around about 12,000 new jobs. Their pre-tax profits are up around about 11%, and Premier Inn are looking to add a further 75,000 rooms to their existing 51,500 room hotel chain. So half of this growth is going to be in London. Costa Coffee continues to kind of dominate the coffee shop business, and is looking to expand in China and double its outlets over there.
Meanwhile, over to the States, and Carphone Warehouse are getting out.
Yeah, Carphone Warehouse have been able to extract themselves from their US Best Buy business. The company announced it will spend around about £471 million buying back the 50% stake it originally sold to Best Buy for £1.1 billion. So the city like that very much.
Apple, a big giveaway.
Apple, a big giveaway, yes. They're looking to raise money through the bond markets. Now, this is all about having a tax-efficient way of returning money to shareholders. At the moment, Apple has around about £137 billion in cash, but £100 billion of that is outside of the US. And to bring that back into the US to then distribute it to investors, they'd have to end up paying tax of 35%. So they're going into the debt market and raising potentially up to £50 billion to help return that to investors.
And Danny, it's May the 1st, of course. So are we selling in May and going away?
Well, I'm not sure you should, because if you did over the last sort of 27 years, you would have lost money about 3/4 of the time. So the old adage, sell in May to go away, I wouldn't do that. We've had an 11-month consecutive rise in the FTSE. The FTSE is up 12% year to date, so I wouldn't be doing that.
Okay, and what about the markets today?
Well, markets were off yesterday at 643, down 27 points, but we're expecting to open up 11 today.
Danny Cox from Hargreaves Lansdown, thank you.
LBC 97.3 Business.
With AAT, training the next generation of accounting professionals. Still to come on the morning news, we'll have the latest on President Obama's attempts to close Guantanamo Bay, and a Nick Ferrari at breakfast from 7 in Portlegg this morning. And Nick and the Deputy Prime Minister are on a boat on the Thames, speaking to floating voters ahead of tomorrow's local elections. You're with the morning news with me, Susan Bookbinder. Let's get you an update on the headlines. We're just hearing 3 British soldiers have been killed in a roadside bombing in Afghanistan. Their families have been informed. Sussex police are being criticised by elderly care campaigners after buying GPS devices to attach to dementia patients, and capacity at some airports in London is underused, according to the London Assembly. London's weather dry with plenty of sunshine and highs up to 16 degrees.
A noisy alarm, a milkman's van, a chirping robin, a cat paw on the cheek, a nudge from your partner, a light turning on, a song on the radio, a cold shower, a hot shower, a stretch, a scratch, a scar jump, So, whatever gets you up for your sausage and egg McMuffin, it's worth it. Made with delicious free-range egg and pork from British Freedom Food approved farms. Served until 10:30 a.m.
Over to the LBC 97.3 Travel Centre for you, and Andy McCall, you're concentrating on the tubes for us.
Yep, still the problem, Susan, on the Jubilee line, the whole length of the Jubilee line, looking at severe delays after a late finish to engineer works earlier at Neasden. It did knock out a section of the Metropolitan line, but that's now actually running well after the disruption earlier this morning. Lambeth North on the Bakerloo line, you can only leave the station now because of problems with the lifts there. The entry is still locked. For the roads and Forest Gate, the A118 Romford Road, that's closed between Sproston Road or Sprowston Road and the A114 Woodgrange Road. That's because of a fire in a building there from earlier on. A23, watching the cameras. James, thanks for your tip off on this one. Just by Brixton Station, we got lane 2 blocked by a bus that's broken down. You can see its hazard lights are flashing away. And it is causing queues in the approach going away from town now. M25 stacking up through junction 5 at 7 Oaks. No surprise there into the roadworks. And checking the cameras pushing west on the M26. Also struggling, and I mentioned in the last hour about the M3, the roadworks 3 to 2 Vauxhall towards the M25 in both directions. And already queues are starting to build now if you're going into town through junction 3 at Vauxhall. Keeping London moving. Your next travel update in a bit, 15 minutes.
Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg takes your calls. This morning from 9 with Nick Ferrari at breakfast on London's biggest conversation, LBC 97.3.
12 minutes to 7, good morning. The first full Amanda Knox interview was broadcast on US television last night. The 25-year-old, of course, was found guilty of murdering her British flatmate Meredith Kircher in Italy in 2009, and that conviction was overturned 2 years later. A retrial has since been ordered, as LBC 97.3's Rupert Bartier reports.
Amanda Knox's interview with Diane Sawyer on ABC in the US coincides with the release of her memoirs. She says it's incredibly painful to learn that she'll be retried for the murder of the student from South London, although she won't have to return to Italy. And analysts say it's extremely unlikely that she'd be extradited if a guilty verdict was reached. She spent 4 years in an Italian jail before the conviction was overturned.
For all intents and purposes, I was a murderer, whether I was or not. And I had to live with the idea that that would be my life.
Meredith Kircher was found dead in the house that she shared with Amanda Knox in Perugia while they were both studying in the Italian city in 2007. Knox, her then boyfriend Raphael Solicito, and another man were all convicted over the crime. Solicito and Knox were then acquitted in 2011. In her book, Amanda Knox reveals she wrote a letter to the Kircher family but was advised not to send it. She says it's not fair that there isn't a satisfactory answer for what happened to Meredith, but the interview concentrated on Knox's want to be reconsidered as a person.
He wrote